I'm Karen, and I'm here with Kelly to answer your grief questions. So, we're just going through questions that we've been asked and lots of different interesting ones. So, we'll hope you'll continue to tune in as we go through all of them. We're releasing videos every Wednesday, every Saturday. And if you click on the button below that says subscribe, you'll get notified when those are released. So, welcome, Kelly. Good to see
Hi.
you. I do have a question for you, and this is, what do I do with the box of ashes?
Yes. So I think this is such an interesting one because, and I can't wait to hear some of the things you've heard because there's so many different and creative things that people do. For some, they choose to bury them. And that's what, there is, depending on your religious beliefs too, there's also some certain things like Catholics are technically back in the day, they weren't even supposed to cremate, but now the Catholic faith is open to cremation, but they feel that they need to be buried.
Mm,
So that's interesting, which I didn't know. I actually just read about that a few weeks ago because I wasn't sure on what that is. But I really do think it's an individual thing. You have to figure out what you feel comfortable with. I know a woman that a family friend, she has the ashes on a bookshelf in her living room, and her goal is that they're going to be buried, but not until she dies.
mm.
And so she's already got her plot, she's already got the stone, but she wants those ashes in her home right now. And then when she dies, she wants both be buried together. So some people choose to do that. Some people just choose to, I think I have a bit of collection of ashes now on top of my cabinets in my kitchen of my pups that have died.
Same here.
And then there's some people that do really creative things with it, make jewelry out of it, or those glass globes that you can make. There's so many people get tattoos with some of the ashes, and some decide to, put them out at sea, or bring them little vials everywhere they go. I have one family that they have so many little vials of the wife, and every trip they go on, they just scatter a few. So she's all over the place.
How cute.
And so you really have to find what's creative and unique to you and what feels good to you. I don't think there's a right thing to do. It's what
Yeah.
feels good to you. Personally, for me, I heard about this and this is what I want. So I'll say it here. So, so my idea is out there and my family will follow it. But you can have your ashes made into these stones
Mm,
and these like rocks. And I think it would be so cool. You get like 50 to 60 rocks when you do that. And I think that would be great to give out to people that care about me, and they can all have a little bit of a piece
cute.
of me in a stone. A lot of people wear the jewelry with it in the ashes in it. One of the things that I would say is that if you want ashes in smaller containers, you can go to the funeral home and they will do that for you. So you don't have to do that, because that can be a little difficult. I have a funny story, but one of my clients, her dog had died, and she picked up the ashes on her way to an appointment, and she had a piece of jewelry. And so I was like, "Oh, I'll help you put the ashes in there." Well, I made a mess. I had ashes all over my office. So take it from me. Let maybe the funeral home do that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was great about it. She's like, "Well, now he's part of your office, and that makes me feel good."
Oh,
Um, so, there's also now they even have the funeral home locally to us, I know, has these certain tubes that you can put in, and it makes scattering the ashes somewhere easier. If you're going to travel with ashes, you do need to carry, fly with them. You do need to carry the certificate with you to
yeah.
be able to go through TSA. So that's something to be aware of. Little things that I think a lot of people may not know, but technically, a lot of places you're not legally allowed to scatter ashes.
Yeah.
But I do know some clients have talked about being in a football stadium and just kind of chucking them out.
Yeah.
But so, I think it just really comes down to, what do you feel comfortable with? Do you want them on the bookshelf in your living room? And that's okay if that's what you want. or do you feel like they do need to be scattered somewhere that may be your loved one? So, Karen, I'm curious, what interesting things have you heard people do with ashes?
Well, one thing that I've heard about is also when you talk about like kind of the newer things that they do, that there was something that you can kind of make it part of like a tree that's going to be planted.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think that one is actually pretty neat.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, listen, definitely heard the stories about people traveling. I think my favorite one was the woman that would take her husband to Costco with her. That was always their thing. And so she just had the urn and she just took it and she's like, I really don't care what anybody thinks. And we're going to walk around Costco together. So some
Yep.
people have a very close personal attachment to the ashes in the sense that they feel like that's a very big connection. I know people that have had the urn that kind of decorate it for different holidays and kind of put it on a shelf where there's a
Um,
lot going on, and for some, they may not feel that close connection with
mhm.
the ashes. And you and I were kind of talking about this a little bit before, but I think it also kind of goes into that conversation about for someone who has a loved one who's buried in a cemetery. And I find when we're in a group and people start talking about that, because a question that people get sometimes is like, is it bad that I don't want to go there? Like,
Yeah,
I feel bad that I don't want to go visit. And then other people are like, every anniversary, every holiday, my birthday, whatever it may be, that's where I'm going. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to bring some food and I'm going to spend the afternoon. And, for some people, that's where they feel closest. So it's kind of like the same thing with the ashes, where for some people has this very close attached meaning. And then for others, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I feel as
yep.
attached to that. It feels maybe a little bit distant or separate. I mean, I do think it's interesting. One thing I remember talking to a woman about with the ashes, because there is kind of that heavy feeling that goes with it. And we were in a group, and she said, my mom's ashes are supposed to come home this week. And I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know if I'm going to feel like happy that they're there or like really sad that they're there. And
Mhm.
we kind of talked about it. And I said, I think you're going to feel both.
Exactly.
I think it like there'll be a part of it that there's, having her there with you if that's what feels right. But it's also the reason that you're dealing with these ashes at all. That's very complicated. And I think it goes back to the idea of why we have so many questions that are hard to answer, because we're talking about such a hard situation, you
Absolutely.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think the thing is, especially with ashes, is that there's time. So you can take a little bit of time if you're not quite sure. If there wasn't, a specific instruction laid out or something, that maybe something in time will come to you. And I've had that with people that's like, I know what I'm going to do. It's his birthday. And I am going to go and spread them on the water or something like that. So I've
Yeah.
even heard there's like certain like boat services that'll do that for you.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
they are.
pretty
Yeah,
neat.
there's a lot of different things. And I have a client that they're planning on the 1 year death anniversary to scatter the ashes at the top of a mountain where
No.
she loved to hike. And but they're waiting for that one, like they want to hold on to them for that year, and that's okay.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's so many creative things you can do now with the ashes. It's quite fascinating to me. I love learning the new things that people are doing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, but you're right. The cemetery, some people feel close to their loved one there and some people don't. And there's no right or wrong answer to that either.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I'm sure we both say a lot, but I think we really want people to internalize, because it's so true. We do spend a lot of time in grief looking for like what's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And it's like there really isn't one, and how does something feel right when so many things are feeling wrong? So we have to really kind of remember that and just kind of follow your instinct and let it sort of be your guide and do the best you can, with all of this. So, all right, Kelly. Well, thank you. That was an interesting one. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you answering that. And a reminder to everybody to subscribe and keep your eye out for future videos. We'd love to see you again.